Alright, so I just thought I would make a video about this entire MVP race, because this has gone out of hand. It has gone ugly. It has gone toxic, and it's gone out of control. Like, many words to just describe it. It has gone out of control. So, you maybe expected me to make a video about it, but I just decided, screw it. Yeah, I'll do that shit right away. And this MVP race is pure brain rot, and it is not as hard as people make it out to be. And really, I think it really shows the power of the media. It really shows the power the media holds over people's perspectives on stuff, because a lot of shit that's being said or shit that the media tried to push in the past, and it's brain rot. It's brain rot, right? I call it brain rot. So before I get right into it, right? Subscribe. Yeah, so subscribe and click the like button. Comment down below your thoughts, whoever you are. And yeah, you could have been many other places. You chose to be here, so I appreciate it. I'm grateful. Thank you very much. And let's get right into it. So, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. Lamar Jackson's the MVP. He is the best quarterback from the past 2 years. That's 100% for sure. He's by far the best quarterback this year. The best quarterback. And the best player. Lamar Jackson is having an historic NFL season. Going even better than 2019. Obviously better than 2023. Yeah, every MVP season has looked better than the other. That is something that should be established. But yeah, I'm just going to clear the air. Bills fans have been allowed to go ahead and pay analysts. Yeah, it just came out about Darren Orlovsky. He was paid to say that kind of shit about Josh Allen. Also, the world has allowed Bills fans to gaslight everybody else into thinking that, one, Lamar Jackson is not the deserved MVP this season, and two, that he didn't deserve it last year, and that Josh Allen somehow deserved it last year when he was 5th in MVP voting. But we're not even going to bring up last year. We're going to talk about this year first, right? Because we're like a day before, by the time we're recording, we're on New Year's Eve. It will almost be a whole year that Bills fans have been crying about the previous year MVP adding hypocritical as hell. Like, this is easily one of the most hypocritical fan bases in all sports. The fakest nice people in this fan base. They're top 2 worst in the NFL. And I'm also, of course, there's some good people in every fan base. Yes, I'm not going to say everyone is trash, but a lot. And honestly, dude, if you're offended by what I just said, then I'm most likely talking about you. Because if you know that you're not trash, that you're not toxic, that you're not a bad person, that you're not racist, that you're not this and the third, then you wouldn't have been offended by what I said. You would just be like, yeah, okay. I mean, our fan base needs to chill out. Our fan base needs to chill out. But we're just gonna get onto it right now, right? Because like we're witnessing top like one of the best quarterback seasons ever, or at least in recent memory, being completely like it's getting put under the rug. It's definitely it's it's easily one of the best quarterback seasons ever. And people are just refusing to talk about it. People are refusing to emphasize that more. And people like all they're doing and it is just sweeping it under the rug. And then when we counterattack, it's gaslighting, anything to discredit it, right? Like every argument against him have been incredibly asinine, and anybody with a brain can dismantle each and every one of these arguments and literally all of their flawed logic. And also it's become very, very sad. Like I know it's clicks, I know it's this or that, but what you can do, you can make money without being disingenuous. But when you're focusing on pushing disingenuous narratives and just like doing it easy, because again, critical thinking and putting takes that are nuanced with analysis, like people, it has become something that has been frowned upon nowadays. Because even ESPN, you make a take with nuance, you lose your job, basically. Those who are gonna say stupid shit are gonna say it because it's easy. It's easy to say stupid shit. It is easy because you don't need to think about it. You do not need to think about anything. And they like to argue about separation, wide receiver separation. Wide receiver separation is the worst stat of any wide receiver stat you can ever point out for any wide receiver. And it is not even close. People are just showing separation stats without even understanding. Because again, you don't know how to measure separation. Separation is very different from quarterback to quarterback. It's not something you people even understand. Because, for example, you look at the Steelers, right? Their separation was drastically different than when they played with Fields the first 6 weeks compared to how they played with Russ since. And it's different. It's a different stat. The stats change, but it's the same wide receivers. And when you ask people to explain why, you can't. So again, I hate when people use stats that no one can discern. Because dude, if you're not able to understand what separation is, if you understood it, you wouldn't be using it in arguments. Yes, our wide receivers get separation. Yes, Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers are up there in separation. But do you know what? Do you know what they're not telling you? Is that Lamar has he has the highest passer rating. He has the highest passer rating in the NFL on tight window throws. So he's the best passer of the football when receivers are covered. So he has a passer rating of 87. And it is first in the NFL by a huge margin. It is not even close. So, and also his EPA isn't even is like twice the next quarterback. It's more than twice the next quarterback. And also another thing they like using is his supporting cast. So let me get this straight. Okay, he has Derrick Henry. Cool. You're not gonna tell me with a straight face that Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman are better than Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, who again you guys are trying to sneak Joe Burrow into that MVP conversation when in reality he's 8-8. He's not gonna make the playoffs. He's not. Dude, there's no chance. He has a chance, but there's no chance. You need the Broncos to win, to lose. And even if they lose, you're not guaranteed to go in. Even if you beat the Steelers on Saturday. Even if you do. And even then, if you beat the Steelers, Broncos lose, the Dolphins are in the playoffs if they beat the Jets. Yeah, odds are very much against you. I'm going to tell you, if he sneaks into the playoffs as a 7th seed, then yeah, he can be in the he can have 1 foot inside the room. Otherwise, no. But you guys are putting him into the conversation despite discrediting Lamar with inferior weapons. Talking about, he has Derrick Henry. Henry's 30 years old, right? He's turning 31 in March, I think. And he's averaging the highest yards per carry in his career.
Monkey.
5.8. Entering this year, he had a career of 4.8. Henry's a Hall of Fame running back. Yes. He had a 2,000-yard season before in 2020. But he turns into his 26-year-old self. Wait, 26, 27-year-old self at 30, a career renaissance. He turns into his prime at age 30 all of a sudden. Like, that's Lamar's rushing gravity in full display. You look at the film, the impact on read options, on handoffs. Teams have to guess where it goes. And then it leaves a huge lane for either Henry or Lamar. And this is why Henry is having his 2020 season all over again. He's looking like 2019, 2020 Henry, and it's not for no reason. So it's a bad argument because every running back that has been with the Ravens, every good running back that has been with the Ravens, and like, we're used to signing serviceable guys off the streets. Like, we have not spent that much at the running back position for a bit. Except for Mark Ingram, who we cut after 2 years. Him, who was like 29, 30, age 29 season, something like that. He was an 1,000-yard rusher. So, all of a sudden, he turned into an 1,000-yard rusher in 2019. Crazy, right? Crazy. We had at some point Le'Veon Bell at his worst, going in and then scoring touchdowns.
Monkey.
Devontae Freeman was not doing that as a running back with the Ravens. That 1 year where all our running backs were out, we had Devontae Freeman, Latavius Murray, and Le'Veon Bell all in the same room. And you look up their numbers, they really aren't bad. And they're all washed. I mean, all these guys were 30 and up. and they were signed off the streets. No one wants to mention that. And then we get Henry, and it's all of a sudden he gets, he does as good as he did 5 years ago when he was in his 20s, in his mid 20s. Also, caliber of weapons in MVP conversations is very, very much new. Right? Because people have been awarded MVPs regardless of their weapons. Regardless of their weapons. So I don't know, where that argument really comes from. Because we've never had these types of arguments before. This is very, very new. Especially considering when you talk about Josh Allen's weapons, remove Henry, they're very, very comparable to Lamar's. I mean, they're really, really comparable. They're really close. And you can say in some ways that Josh Allen's are better. So, also, if you look at history, take a good look at history. You got, okay, so the greatest show on turf, right? The Rams, that insane Rams offense. Marshall Faulk, you know him. He won Offensive Player of the Year in 1999, 2000, and 2001. He won Offensive Player of the Year 3 years in a row. In one of these years, Marshall Faulk rushed for 1,000 yards and received for 1,000 yards. Kurt Warner was MVP in 2 of these 3 years. He was given MVP in 2 of these 3 years. Despite the fact that Faulk was in his backfield. Also, we're not going to forget that Torrey Holt was on that team. He was on that team. And he should be in the Hall of Fame right now. He should be in the Hall of Fame. But he's not. But that dude was balling out of control. I'm not going to gloss over that either. So, you had these types of weapons. Kurt Warner was spoiled with these guys. He still won MVP in 2 of these years. He still won MVP. And Kurt Warner was a good quarterback. So, no one is going to tell you he didn't deserve that award. No one's going to tell you. But all of a sudden, you have Lamar. He did it without Henry. He won MVP 2 times without Henry. And now you want to deny him of his 3rd MVP because he finally has a Hall of Fame caliber weapon? Crazy. In 2004, weapons having a situation, perfect situation, it didn't stop Peyton Manning from getting his MVP. He was sharing the field with Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Brendan Stokely. All 3 of his wide receivers were 1,000-yard receivers. All 3 of them. No one's using it to discredit Peyton. Not to mention, he had a running back in Edgerrin James. He had over 1.5K. No one is discrediting them. He deserved it. But no one's using that to discredit Manning. Also, if you're going to use weapons against Lamar, then why did Tom Brady win in 2007? He deserved it. Brady deserved it. He actually deserved that MVP. But he was sharing the field with Randy Moss and Wes Welker. That didn't stop anybody from calling it the greatest quarterback season ever. 2018, recently, Mahomes' first MVP. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Look at their stats that season. I think they were both at 1.5K yard receivers. No one using that to discredit him. Many of the best quarterbacks ever have had insane weapons in their MVP seasons. It's not something new. Like no one, like all these guys were sharing the field with all-time greats. But why are people using Lamar supporting cast, which isn't even the best in the league? It's Henry, and then it's good receivers, and that was it. It does not compare from the examples I just listed right now. Why are they weaponizing it against Lamar, but not these other guys I listed? Like, that's a problem, that Lamar is sharing the field with Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, which is no disrespect to them. Like, the same things other quarterbacks get propped up for are used to bring Lamar down and discredit him. Like, it's a clear double standard. It's a clear double standard that has not ceased. So, like, the worst argument, like, what's even worse is that Josh Allen is somehow doing more with less. He's not doing more with less. He's doing less with more. Because if you look at the stats, the Ravens are the second most penalized team in football by yardage. The Bills are 21st, so they're top 10 most disciplined teams. The Ravens have been unable to stay disciplined for 13 games. 13 straight games. They have been unable to stay undisciplined. The Ravens are cracking top 10, the most penalized teams in team history, and like top 20 in like what? History? Entire NFL history? Someone fact check that for me. Because it is crazy yardage. And again, having these penalties, it's not good for an offense. It's not good for Lamar. You're already being behind the sticks so often. And Lamar is still marching the Ravens down the field consistently. Like, we're still sustaining drives regardless. Last week against the Texans, we literally had after Ardarius Washington made the stop, like, we had 95-yard touchdown drive after that to go up 17-2. It's things like this.
Monkey.
That, and along with having the worst average starting positions in the entire league. The Bills are second best. And a lot of the reasons why we have shitty starting positions is because of our special teams at times. Because our punt returners are always making the wrong decisions on whether to return the kick or to let it bounce out. And they just make always the wrong decisions, which always pins us deep. For 10 weeks, the Ravens were the top 10. Well, not top 10. The worst pass defense in football. They were 7-3. during that span. So who was carrying who? Lamar was carrying them. That is obvious. Despite having the worst pass defense in a lot of categories too. Justin Tucker, back to special teams. One of the worst kickers this season. He's having the worst season of his career. 73% field goal percentage in the season. Among the lowest. So we pretty much had to score touchdowns every drive in pressure. Not to mention, the Ravens don't have a win when Lamar has a passer rating below 114. Especially when, like we're 0-5. We're 0-5 in these games. So basically, he has to play perfect. 114 passer rating is his worst of the season, and that is against the Commanders. We won that game, but a game this good. And hey, Zay and Bate may be good separators. Cool. They may be good separators, which again is the worst stat of it's the worst wide receiver stat ever. That's undisputed. We're still top 5 in drop rate in the NFL. The Bills are not top 10. The Bills are not top 10. You can't say that. Lamar is having a record season, like a 2014 Rodgers season, and he is 5th. He's 5th in percentage of passes dropped. 3 of the 4 picks were dropped, hit the wide receiver's hands. And back to separation stats. A lot of it could be credited to Lamar being able to scramble and extend the play, which gives them extra time. It's not to discredit their route running, but that's the truth. Because a lot of plays you can look at and say, oh, but it was basically Lamar who extended the play for them to get time. And also, what you also have is we have a bunch of receivers who are not physical. They're not physical catch point threats or true yak threats. Joe Burrow has 2 of these guys. He has 2 of these guys, and he's not credited. He's had an MVP caliber season, but people are not discrediting him for that. Oh, and also, lastly, the Bills have one of the best offensive lines in football, while the Ravens have an average one, and they're only average because our center is good, our tackles are good, but our guards are very much ass. They're very much the worst starting guards in the entire league. Very, very poor play. They've not really played well, and they're still being kept in. Let's all, not forget about that. They're still in. They haven't been benched at all, but they've been ass. They've been terrible. They've been some of the worst offensive linemen in the league. So, yeah. So, the media's trying hard to discredit him. And I really hate the victim mentality about, oh no, you said stats didn't matter. Oh, this and that. Oh, this and that and the third. Last year, what Ravens fans tried telling you was that stats aren't the only thing that matters, but you just had to completely twist the words. I mean, again, they're very, very good at gaslighting, so of course we're gonna do that. I mean, dude. And they're trying to say that a lot of the things that happened last year could be used this year, and that's not true. It's simply not. Like, like all this fan base does is lying your way into argument, and then people are so lazy to look it up are gonna agree. But like nothing that happened last year can apply to this year, because first off, Josh Allen did not have better stats than Lamar Jackson last year, even with all the weak stats wise. He didn't have a better stat. And Josh Allen's record against good teams, against teams above 500, is 3-3. Against playoff teams, 2-3. So that pretty much ends it. I mean, all the Bills have been doing this year was feasting on the bad teams, and when they play the good teams, they just struggle. They just 3-3. They're basically 500. That's your MVP. I mean, Lamar was 10-3 last year, and he is 7-3 this year. 7-3 this year. So again, the same logic that was used for Lamar last year can apply this year, but for Lamar, not for Josh Allen.
Monkey.
Josh Allen may have some signature wins, but Lamar has more signature wins, that's for sure. He has more signature wins. But nothing that happened last year could be used this year. And if anything, you're like, oh no, I thought stats didn't matter, but Dak had better stats than Josh last year, and he finished higher in MVP vote. Josh Allen finished 5th. Josh Allen finished 5th in MVP. In MVP voting. Dak was ahead of him. He was 2nd. But when you bring that up, they just don't say anything. Like, all they do is just freeze up. If anything, the only people that have the slight right to complain about last year is Cowboys fans. And Cowboys fans have forgot about it. You'd expect Cowboys fans to complain about that, because they get the reputation of being toxic. But no, it's Bills. Bills fans are worse than Cowboys fans. Bills fans make Cowboys fans look like choir boys. It's that plain and simple. It's that plain and simple, dude. Cowboys fans have some reason to complain about it. Not Bills fans, and Cowboys fans aren't even doing it. Because even then, you could say that, hey, Lamar has been much better against good teams than Dak has been. Every time Dak has played a good team, he's turned into a pumpkin. And Cowboys fans would agree with that argument. You see? So, I mean, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Those who stayed till the end, I appreciate it. Again, you could have been many other places, but you chose to be here, so I really appreciate it. Subscribe, click the like button, comment down below your thoughts, and yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.